Are you looking for relief from stress, anxiety, or pain? If so, you may want to consider trying CBD. CBD is a natural compound found in the hemp plant that has been shown to have a variety of health benefits. CBD can help relax your mind and body, reduce inflammation, and improve sleep. It is also non-addictive and has no known side effects. If you're interested in trying CBD, check out our website at www.hypnotizeme.com. And remember, if you're not hypnotized, then you're not doing it right. That's hypnotizeme.com, www.hypnotizeme.com for our high quality CBD products and drinks. Hypnotize Me, a sponsor of the Bossfest podcast.
It seemed like everybody want to be a boss these days. Everybody want to be a boss till it's time to pay out, you feel me? Till it's time to pay that boss cost. They ain't trying to have them tough conversations. Ain't trying to put in them extra hours, catching that windfall money, dealing with folks not being consistent. Don't get me started on the lack of sleep, but you know what they say.
Boss Life, BOSSFEST, Bossfest podcast. Each and every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, guaranteed to get you right. BOSSFEST, the Bossfest podcast. They might make you laugh, make you mad, make you cry. Either way it go, it's a vibe. Tune in, catch the topic, get the tea. Ain't no shallow waters over here, we get deep. You sensitive, easy to offend, you need to flee. But them tough conversations gonna be happening. Bossfest podcast, they hold it down. Wednesday, 7 Eastern, man, it's going down. Tell a friend to tell a friend, and y'all gather round. Get active in the comments, don't get lost in the crowd.
Hey, what's happening? It's your man DJ Bush. I had to show love to Kevin and Edwina, Bossfest Butlers. Y'all know what time it is. The Bossfest podcast. But you already know what we live in.
Boss Life, BOSSFEST, the Bossfest podcast. Each and every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, guaranteed to get you right.
Welcome to another edition of the Bossfest podcast. I am Kevin, and beside me is the lovely Edwina. How you doing today, babe?
I'm here.
That's it? You just here and
Yeah.
doing.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing more than that?
I'm just here and I'm doing. Just let that be what it is.
Another episode where she's just here and just doing, I guess.
So let's get into the topic.
Oh my God. A little foreplay?
No, I want to talk about the topic.
You just want to get straight to action. No foreplay, no warm it up, no nothing.
Ain't that what you like? Anyway,
no foreplay.
so what is the topic? Turning failure into success.
So today's topic is turning failures into success. And the reason why we touched on this topic is a lot of numerous reasons, but
I don't know. You talking about the reason why I don't know what we said.
why did you touch on the topic? Let me stop saying we. Sometimes I like to say we because I think we together, but a lot of times you always prove to me that we ain't together. I just be on the island by myself. So
Sometimes in a partnership, decisions are made. Both parties may not fully agree, but we move forward regardless. So in choosing this topic, it wasn't that big of an issue where I was like, oh, we can't do this. So we're treading forward with the topic. So let's talk about it. Turning failures into success. So I'm assuming that we are talking about business and you're describing why we chose this topic. So why did we choose it?
We chose it because we needed something to talk about. You know, y'all just don't know, man. It'd be hard to figure out what you're gonna say to these people every week that can be engaging and impactful But you know what? We're gonna keep trying to do our best. And she gonna keep looking at me with the little funky ass side eye. Like, oh my God, here we go again. But I'm just saying, the reason why I chose this topic, make sure I preference that I chose this topic, is because a lot of times when we're going through challenges, we don't always see the success that those challenges bring. And what we come to find out is after we just take a second to breathe on it and realize, man, especially if we kept going through the stormy weather, we normally find ourselves a lot better on the other side of it than we would have if we wouldn't allowed that failure to happen. So for me, uh, this can relate to business. This can relate to relationships. This can relate to friendships. This can relate to anything because there's a lot of times out there where even in friendships, you thinking the friendship is a failure, maybe because one person's interaction or another. And sometimes, you take a second look at it, you reevaluate it, you come like, you know what, maybe it ain't as bad as I thought, or let me see what I can do differently to approach the friendship. And now you might be in something that can be even better or more thriving relationship than if you just would have just dismissed it and walked away from it. So, well, why you just staring?
I'm listening to you talk. I'm listening to you talk about failure, turning failures in success. I think a lot of times when you're busy in the lows, you can't see obviously that this is going to be successful. So you don't know until you're on the other end of that failure that, hey, I had to go through that to see myself on this side, which is success. So I think a lot of times as we're going through, whether it's business things or just life, a lot of people when you're dealing with those lows, you're kind of like, why me? Like I keep getting hit. Why do I gotta get, all the bullets? So I guess in prefacing that, so you're saying turning success or turning failures into success. I wanted to know like when you're feeling those lows, is there a certain way that you're saying that we should turn those into success? Or are we saying like how does that look?
Well, for me, I just be trying to honestly take a look at the situation and regardless of what it is, and be like, hey man, in that moment I might have felt like crap going through it. Like, man, I might have really felt disappointed, let down. Maybe I let myself down. Maybe I let people around me down, you down, kids down, uh, business partners down. And sometimes, you got to just take a second look at it and be like, man, you know what? I needed to fall on my face in that moment because now my comeback is going to be better or my come up is going to be a lot greater because now I know how to recognize these situations and navigate through them better. So for me, I'm just trying my best to minimize the falls, but I understand that the falls and the failures are important in how I'm navigating through it after I fail. A lot of times I used to just quit. I ain't gonna lie. I used to look at some of these things like, man, I guess it wasn't meant for me to happen. It ain't meant to do so. Let's just quit. And
So if something isn't going right, your first thing is to say, I just quit, I don't want to do it no more.
I think that's a lot of people's first reaction until they learn how to trust themselves better. And I think that's the problem. A lot of people don't trust their own abilities. So once stuff starts happening, it's like, man, they almost anticipated to fail and to um just not to work. So there's like, okay, let me not put that much energy to it.
Right. So that's just the easy way out. The easy way is to just let it fail and be like, oh, it wasn't gonna work anyway, so screw it.
True. But none of us are really, I ain't gonna say none of us, a good majority of us aren't really built to deal with failure. We know that there are certain failures that come with life. Just failures as being a minority, a black man, a black woman. There are certain things we feel like, oh man, I'm gonna fail at that regardless over somebody that might be a white male or a white woman. So for me, it's understanding differently now that, hey man, even though that might appear to or come off as a failure, it might be what I needed to feel myself. Read messages.
So the next comment, or this comment says, failure sends you back to the drawing board. And when you go back to the drawing board, you're able to see what you did wrong and try again with better knowledge and understanding, which is 100% true. Um, if you go back to the drawing board, which is the question, as Kevin is saying, some people never make it back to the drawing board to try it again. They just give up. And I think people who are strong, or you really want to see yourself succeed, are the ones that revisit that drawing board and then try it again. I think you have to fail to be able to see success. Like if everything worked 100% of the time, then you wouldn't know how to be great. You have to see some failures to be able to reach greatness, in my opinion.
True. So go back to listen, I stay at the drawing board.
Go back to the don't give up, Kevin. You can't just be quitting. You got to go back to the drawing board.
Listen, I stay at the drawing board.
Do you?
I do. I'll listen. I'll fail. I'll go to the drawing board. The problem with the drawing board is, and I'm gonna use that analogy, is sometimes I don't know what to write to plan make the next plan. I know at the beginning of the year, since we're talking about boards and stuff, this is the time of year when people be like, I'm gonna line up my life. I'm gonna put my plans together. I'm gonna put my visions on a board.
Okay.
And there don't really be structure behind it. It just be a whole bunch of ideas of what I want, but it's never really game plans.
So what you're talking about is a vision board. That is just like things that I like to have.
Well, we talking about going back to the drawing board. Sometimes the board is things I
think the
like.
drawing board and the vision board is two different types of
I
boards.
think it's a board.
Okay, well, I don't think the vision board is the same.
Drawing board, vision board, it's still a board. The question is, what am I doing at the board? Do I have a real plan, or am I just throwing stuff at it?
Right, that's what the board actually is. That's what I'm saying. They're two different boards. When you go back to the board, it's to actually create your vision, to create your game plan. Because if you can go back to the board and you say, hey, I just did X, Y, and Z, and that didn't work, I got to figure out where that plan failed. So on that board, you're going to say, like, that road didn't work out for me. I need to now take this route to see if that works. And then if I have this backup plan, that's what the board is. It's not a board to just draw nice little pictures and be like Ferrari, big house. Like, that's not the point. It's to come up with a real game plan.
So how do you come up with a real game plan if you fail?
You have to see where the failures are. So it really just depends on what we're talking about. But wherever you fall, you felt the holes were. So let's say you write like a list and I felt like I didn't do this. I didn't come to the table with this. I needed this. These are the things I needed to succeed. Those are actually a list of the holes. So when you go to your drawing board, you're filling up those things. If I would have had this, would I have been successful? And then that's how you try again.
I hear you. So with me, a lot of times, because I'm doing my best to talk through my stuff, because everybody know this is my therapy session. For me, I don't always ask myself, why did it fail or how did it fail? So I got to get back to, I guess in corporate space, the 5 whys, like being able to break it down, understand what the real failure is. Was it a lack of preparation, a lack of funds, a lack of whatever the situation is, a lack of engagement?
Are you sure you don't ask yourself why? Are you just saying you don't ask yourself why? Because that seems like I don't believe you.
Why don't you believe me? You're supposed to be the one person that's supposed to believe me.
No, I because I just call BS in what you're saying right now. But so the next comment says, well, the issue, you just said it. You have no strategy to achieve your goals. Next thing you need to do is, what is the strategy I need? I'll just go, okay, hold on. So then the next comment says, question, do you care about the goal? Are you passionate about it? You know what? I think Donnie asked you that. Like, are you passionate about the goals that you're setting forth? Are these goals that you want to achieve, or are you going through the motion because they're goals someone else wants to achieve and you feel like you have to just go along for the ride? So that's a good question. Like, are you passionate about it? But the fact that you're saying, like, when you fail, you don't think you stop and say, why did I fail? You automatic, like, to me, you just saying anything at this point. You absolutely do that.
All right. Attack Kevin session. Let's run it.
I'm not attacking you, but
let's go ahead and
saying
add,
in reality,
let's go ahead
I
and add
hear
some
you.
context to this.
Maybe it doesn't come off as apparent to you where you don't write it down and say, hey, why did I fail? It was XYZ. But in conversation, you say, man, I don't think I had this, which is you saying, I think I failed because I lacked something. So to me, it's the same thing. maybe it's not as black and white as you like it to be, but I'm just saying I feel like you do it.
Maybe all right. So the winner said something a little earlier. She talked about she said Dunny. When she referenced Dunny, she means Dunny Wiggins from the Social Proof podcast. So about a month or so ago, we was in David Shan's morning meetup work session, and Dunny had asked me a question. Well, we was talking about different things, and Dunny had asked me, "Hey, are you serious about this business? What scares you?" Or no, she asked me what scares me. I told her being in this space scares me. And she was like,
In
"What's
space by what you mean, like
like
entrepreneur
this
space?
entrepreneur space?"
Okay.
And she was like, I was like, "Man, I don't know. It's just an uncertainty of if it fails, then everything crumbles around me." So then she started going listing things. Have you never been scared of stuff before? So it's like, yeah. I said,
He
you know,
said, nah.
I said, not like that, because when you're young, as a young man, we all think we reckless and bulletproof. So she was asking me, so your wife having giving birth, that didn't scare you. You living in a gun violence, gang ridden area, that didn't scare you. At those times, no, those things didn't scare me. But now, as a grown ass man who has real responsibilities and understand that if I fold or if I fail, the structure crumbles. Like, I don't always say, all right, let me put a goal and plan that's gonna make this entrepreneur stuff 100% achievable. Because sometimes in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking about, all right, what's the escape clause? Because if it doesn't work, I need to make sure that everything we built to this point doesn't fail. So I may not always plan properly or put a real goal in place, just because I know sometimes that real goal is going to put me in a place where I have to live in a scarcity type of, I ain't gonna say a scarcity type of mind, but I have to live in a scared place. It almost has to scare me. And that's not a comfortable feeling for people who don't like it.
Yeah, because I was like, man, you said a lot of words. Like, I don't know. Donnie said that you needed to fire yourself from the business because she didn't see the drive. Like you said, nothing scared you. And you have to want something so bad that it almost scares you to not like go after it. And what you're saying is, I'm just happy living in the day to day, and I don't want anything to scare me that bad. I want to live in a safe zone. And what she basically said to you is, entrepreneurship is not that. So it doesn't sound like you want to be an entrepreneur. You should just quit. That's what that conversation was. In fact, I think she didn't say you should quit. I think she said you were fired.
Yeah, I think she just told me I was fired. So, um,
I'm gonna go back to some comments while you think about why you got
Fired?
fired. Yeah. So this comment says it's also difficult to do it on your own. Having a team or connected with someone who is skilled in that area could possibly prevent total failure, but allows you to pivot from what didn't work the first time. I definitely could agree with that. I think part of when you go through like a period of what we'll call failure, I think it's important to look to see, hey, if I had a team or if I had someone knowledgeable in, XYZ field, would that have helped me be successful? And then you can't do everything on your own like 100%. And that's a big thing. Like with your personality, I feel like even in our relationship, we've always relied on ourselves. So with you, asking for help is very hard. So if you needed something or someone to help you succeed, I think you would almost rather like fail than ask the person. And I'm not trying to be like a beat on Kevin. I just, because you put yourself out there, was just responding to that.
man, because I know when I got to put myself out here. You sit over here all cool and collective all the time. I'm good. It's nothing. Let me just blink at the camera. Like, so I'm like, all right, man, let me put a little
You're
bit of
doing the
myself out
most
here.
because that was not even necessary.
I'm just saying, like, I be trying to, I put myself
You
in
use this as
I do. I do.
a therapy session.
And I don't
So
want
it's
my
Wednesday and we
therapist.
came to Kevin's therapy.
I do not want my therapist attacking me.
I'm not your therapist. They are your therapist. I'm here for
to attack.
and the giggles. There's some giggles in there too. I'm just
So
not going to be
she's
your
here to
therapist.
attack and giggle.
The
But
point is, I'm saying you use this as therapy. I don't. Don't be mad because I don't put myself, on the line.
maybe you should. Maybe that's the point that some of these failures I see, because I'd be like, you want to play all cool and collected. Sometimes you don't show your real emotions behind stuff. Then you become overwhelmed and looking at me like, what we should do? Like, man, shoot, I'm trying to figure it out too. I don't know. Because, right, I may not always ask for help, and I probably won't, because I hate that feeling of asking for help and then someone using it to throw it in your face. So
that's all I just said. And when you got mad, that's all I said is you don't ask
No.
for help, and you was in your feelings right now.
everything is not a feeling. I'm telling you, not feelings.
Most things are feelings. Most things
That's
are.
not feelings. It's just me emphasizing my points.
Okay, I'm gonna go to another comment. It says the passion will drive you when no one else or nothing else will, which is true. Doing it scared is tough, but you're still doing the thing that drives you. It has to scare you enough to challenge it or challenge you. So I agree on all of those things. So I mean, let's dive a little deeper if you don't mind, because we
Are we
are
gonna
at
dive
your,
into you too, or are we just gonna
no,
stay in
we're
me?
at your therapy session.
We just
Well,
gonna
then
keep diving
let's
into
do
me.
this. Let's do this.
No,
Then you ask me something so that way you could put
Won't you
me.
just put yourself out there?
I don't have anything that I wanted to put myself out there.
Right.
Like, so
So
that's
we
why I
gonna-
said I'll
so
allow
we
you to ask me a question.
So we gonna always
Y'all
play on
hearing
the
his
surface.
feelings. We're gonna take a commercial break while Kevin, gathers his feelings. So
Go ahead, continue. That's dead end, bro. Talk.
we were taking a commercial break to give you a
There's
second to gather
no-
your feelings, because you.
Every,
So
that's-
can I ask you, are you gonna still be in your feelings?
Go ahead.
All right. So I was just saying, let's get a little bit deeper into the situation. So a lot of people, if you're watching our page or you're following the event that we're putting on, so there was a Boss Fest event that was supposed to happen April 7th. We did just postpone the event. So what you're saying, or let me preface it differently. With postponing the event, how did that make you feel?
I felt relieved.
So you didn't feel like that was a failure?
Postponing it, right? Nope. I felt relieved. I felt like if we would have kept going in the space we was going, we were destined to fail miserably, and we was going to embarrass ourselves and potentially embarrass the brand by trying to put way more on our plate too soon, too quickly. Even though everything say go, 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 sometimes even in the midst of go, you got to say, all right, is this safe now? And we were going in spaces where to me, it was feeling a little unsafe. I had been scared the whole time, but the question was, now is it safe to keep pursuing this? So for me, when it was like, man, we need to postpone it, it's like, all right, man, how does this look? How do we move forward? But honestly, yeah, I felt relief. How did you feel?
I felt like it was a fail. That's how I felt.
Explain.
Because while you think about things, I don't want to say more financially, but
Financially, it's okay. I think about things financially.
there's no need for you to sound that out. What I personally feel is it's the right place. Like, we're in the right place at the right time. And for me, it's one of those things where I go to sleep with it on my mind and I wake up with it on my mind. And even if it's like, we're going to cancel it, we're not going to do it again, I can't let it go. So for me, it felt like a failure. I mean, it no longer feels that way, but it definitely was like, how come we can't make this happen? That's how I felt.
Postpone. Nobody said it's not happening.
You asked me how I felt. I'm telling you how I felt.
I get it. So you felt that it is a failure. You said, but you don't feel that way now. Why don't you feel that way now?
Can I get a second to think about the question? Like, if blinking allows me to think, allow me that, please. God.
All right, y'all, because podcasts just like dead air.
but she gonna blink while she think about
Please
it.
can I answer the question, please?
I'm gonna let you think, and I'm gonna talk.
So I don't want you to talk because it
Okay.
doesn't allow me to think. I want to read this comment though.
Okay.
It says I guess it's I think it's all right to regroup, refresh, and recharge. I don't know if it was supposed to say all right, but I added
Yeah.
that in there. So the reason why I don't think it's still a failure is because I see it already recollecting itself. And the reason why I was like, all right, I'm gonna call the postponement is because I felt what was gonna happen in our partnership if we kept pushing. So I say that to say sometimes you have to make a call for the betterment of your personal brand and what's happening in your personal life outside of like what the business is doing. But to call something and say, hey, we're postponing it, it's not going to happen right now. A lot of times there's a lot of pieces. And I felt like when it was happening, there was going to be such a huge loss and so many pieces that we were going to have to put back together to be able to continue it. And the pieces came back together so quickly and so fast, and it's building, it's already got momentum from different things, and it felt like it was supposed to get postponed so that it could grow and be bigger. But when it happened, or when we were making the call, I didn't know that.
I'm with you. So for me, from my financial standpoint and looking at things financially, I we realize that we might be putting ourselves and jeopardizing a lot of household obligations to pull this off as quickly as we want as it was coming about.
Which
Remember,
is a problem when you put your own finances into.
it is, but you got to invest in yourself and invest in your brand. That ain't the issue. The challenge was this event in April was supposed to be a lot smaller. It was supposed to be niche down, more like a master class.
Not more like a master
Well,
class. It was supposed to be a
I'm sorry,
master class.
a master class. Everybody don't. A master class is a niche down event which allows for you to have ideal teaching of a particular topic, whatever the subject matter is. So it's supposed to be a master class, and we was going to bring in a headliner or a person that can teach, but real niche down, small group. Uh, Ticket price was going to be was going to be at a higher point, but that was because we were trying to target a particular audience base, a particular customer base, per se. And when we started getting all these big name people, and it was like, yeah, we can do it, we can do it, we can do it, we can do it. It was like, man, this thing is becoming bigger than the previous event. I was still like, all right, let's go. Then all of the stuff that we thought we had ironed away from before that didn't seem like it would be roadblocks now became new roadblocks. Who knew that we was gonna have an issue with the
Well,
event
people don't
space?
know like what the issues were, but there definitely were roadblocks that felt like they shouldn't have been roadblocks.
Yep.
But I like again, I feel like in order for you to have a story of success, there has to be failures for people to see like, hey, they went from here to here. They have to see the downs. Like I don't know of anyone who has had success where they weren't able to say, uh I was down at this point. I didn't think I would make it through here, and something happened. And let me tell you about how you can overcome that too. Like, I just feel like there has to be like peaks and valleys in this thing in order for you to understand what success looks like.
Listen, I'm with you. So, um, for everything that's going on, and Edwina touched on Boss Fest. I know people probably out there was probably wondering, yeah, what's going on with that as well. But for us, it was definitely a tough decision to postpone that. And that was one of those things where she looked at it as a failure. I saw it as a failure, but I had more relief than I had failure with it because I believed in, I guess I'm gonna say I believed in my wife. My wife is she's very driven, and she has this drive to become this entrepreneur, so that way she can elevate the brand, the family to a different place. For me, I want to support my wife in those endeavors. And when something like those failures happen, it almost feels like, man, what could I have done more, done differently to prevent them? But I got to remember sometimes that the failures is going to allow for us to be better at this process. Since we started doing Boss Fest or doing this type of event, I don't necessarily think we've had failures, but we didn't really have a solid plan. We were just throwing stuff out there. All right, let's do it this way. Oh, it worked. All right, let's do this and add this. It works. Let's do this, add this, add this, add this. Oh, it's working. Okay. Now we moved into a bigger scale or realm of things like, okay, the things we were doing while there was some success there wasn't a real solid plan.
No, but we've had failures in business before. I mean, we have a whole business that we're like, we don't even like it.
That was a
So you have to think like there's been failures. The only difference with this is a more public platform because we talk about it all the time. People see it on a podcast and it's out there on social media, but there's definitely been failures. Um I think in business you're going to have them, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you up, sometimes you down.
so I guess first off, DJ, the mics are amazing, great quality. Thank you. And for Lamar,
DJ suggested these mics for you.
don't do that. Give me
I
my
was
credit.
asking you. It was just a question, man. You
DJ
always
provided suggestions,
okay.
and
Let's move on because you're
I
gonna
went
be in
through.
your feelings again.
Why is everything my feelings?
I don't know because I asked you a question. It was like, don't do that. I'm like, I'm sorry, don't ask questions. You're right. Let's move on.
No,
So the next
I don't want you
question
devaluing my
says,
process.
can we hear about the roadblocks? It's educational.
Tell them about some roadblocks.
I mean, there were a lot of roadblocks. So I think the biggest roadblock for me was the venue issues for sure. We were having the event at the same location we used last year. And because we were so close to a larger event in the area, in Central Florida, there's a thing called Sun and Fun that happens. Like the planes, I don't want to devalue it. So I don't have a lot of information about Sun and Fun, but it's an event called Sun and Fun.
It's typically not an event for minorities, so we'll leave it at that. So when we booked our date, we had no clue about Sun and Fun. When we found out about it, we thought it was going to be a great opportunity to leverage the energy of Sun and Fun since they was already going to be in the area to be able to use that to get our vendors more recognition and engagement at the facility, at the space. What we started to discover is that we started to see how people value your events or how people value you, whether you small or big or whatever. Last year, when there was no competition, oh man, we was the best thing that came through the hotel, or we came through that event space. Now that we in competition with, and I'm pretty sure this is probably one of their more marketable weeks, sales weeks for this location. But
Yeah, but let's call it what it is. It didn't seem like they wanted us to mix with the crowd that they were going to have there to be like very just transparent about the event.
yeah,
It was like we need to segregate this as much as possible or move it. And it just became how many obstacles can we put in the way to keep whatever attendees that you will have for your event away from the people that we are used to having come for this event. Um, okay, so this comment says, "Yeah, I'm familiar with that event. It's been around for years, and it definitely has. I think it's important to say that our event was going to be on the Sunday before this event really started on Tuesday, so we felt like there was definitely days apart. Even with that being said, the closer we got, the more obstacles the venue was putting in the way. So we would, have one thing that we would agree on and we move past, and next week is something else. And it just we kept being something else and something else till it just felt like this is trying. We understand, like we're minorities, so we understand what that looks like when someone keeps putting a roadblock, in your way. So anyway, that being said, I felt like the venue was definitely one of the major roadblocks for me.
It was. And with an event like this, I know some people are like, well, why don't you just get a different venue? Um, we're going for a certain look. Anybody out there who's putting together an event, you understand the look of the event, the aesthetics of the event is what's either going to draw people to it or push people away. And I'm gonna tell you, I suggested a whole bunch of silly ideas, and my wife said, "Nope, we ain't doing that. That looks dope. We ain't doing that." I even suggest a high school and an auditorium at a high school. My wife said, "Bitch, we ain't going to school.
Wow.
The hell, we taking the SAT?" Like she was on my neck, and I was just trying to help provide a suggestion, but she was on my neck. Like this is some bullshit. Ain't nobody doing that. What am I gonna do with the vendors? And what they gonna do? They gonna be over there on the playground equipment?
All right. They just asked about the roadblocks. You're doing way too much with yourself right now.
I'm sorry. I took a moment. I apologize.
Right. So this comment says not the high school.
It wasn't even. Listen,
The point.
Go ahead.
The point is the venue was a major roadblock. Then I also felt like one of the roadblocks was the headliners in our particular area. People didn't know who the headliners were, and people didn't research who the headliners were or the value that they would bring or implement into their business. I also felt like that was a roadblock as well.
I did not think that would be a roadblock, and I when you step into certain spaces, and I guess when you get exposed to certain things, you don't necessarily think about, oh man, if in this day and age, if someone's saying, oh, I'm bringing this headliner, and you know you may want to come to the event, that you would research who was coming to the event. The more we would go out and interact in the public and things of that nature, excuse me, people were telling us, oh man, how excited they were for they was excited for getting the room to interact with Taj. Shout out to the homie Taj, which is going to be dropping big gems. Talking with Legit, interacting there. Shout out to Legit, who was going to also, man, some of the things he told me he wanted to say on the stage was going to be huge. And things like that. Like people knew more about them than they knew about Brandon Shot Me and David Shands. And like every time we went out somewhere, it was like, hey man, do you know who these people are? No. I know about Legit and I know about Taj. And I'm like, shoot, that's great. But these people here are the people that's gonna give you that's giving you the game. Like the Legits and the Tajas, they getting in the room so that they can interact with these people because these people are next to the
I don't necessarily agree with what you're saying, but
you don't.
No, so I feel like both Legit and Taj, I definitely think they got huge gems to drop
I'm
themselves.
not trying to devalue them. So if that wouldn't seem like I apologize. I wasn't trying to do that.
And people definitely want to get in rooms to be near them, but people know them here as opposed to when you know someone that may be like huge in social media. The fact that like David Shands does an entrepreneur podcast and not a lot of entrepreneurs in the area listen to the podcast. To me, I was just like, wow. And it is correct. When you follow someone on social media and you become engaged in kind of what they're doing, then it almost feels like, wow, everybody not getting this same game. And the answer is no, everyone isn't getting that same game. Everyone doesn't know to follow this person or to get a business coach, which is why you do these events so people can learn. But then the point is people have to go and find out if this is something that they should follow, if they should get in the room, research this person. Like, why do they have them as a headliner? And it appeared, because I can't say 100% certain, it appeared that that wasn't happening. Now, what we did realize, if we take this up the road, 30 minutes, 20 minutes one way, whatever, people are doing that. So to answer that, to take a long response and shorten it, I just felt like people not knowing who people from Atlanta were when it definitely seems like they have a huge following, I felt like was a roadblock.
So
I'm gonna go back and read some questions here. Read some responses. So one of these comments says, you got to learn how to boss up. Very true, which we're doing that.
Comment by DJ Bush.
The next one says, "Is it the job of the consumer to educate themselves on what to purchase?" I think it's actually a little bit of both. So if you ask, is it the job of the consumer to educate themselves? It's not fully the job of the consumer. We definitely do try to do our due diligence by bringing things through our page to show you, hey, this is why we follow this person. This is why we feel like they're important. This is their content. And some people have seen the content, but don't know the people who are putting on the content. Some people have seen, things that went viral that either one of them have done, but don't understand the importance behind it. But I definitely think that a little bit of both could share in that responsibility, in my opinion.
No, no doubt. And as we move forward, we're definitely going to be a lot more aggressive with that process. And that was one of the failures on our part, where we automatically assumed people would know. And once we came to that conclusion, like, man, they may not really know. How do we now transform this and change up the game plan to make sure that we can introduce these people to this new audience?
Which is why when you feel like you have a failure, you go to your drawing board and you write it down like, hey, maybe I didn't show people why they should get in the room enough, and you fix that. Like you said, you don't do that, but that's literally what this is the drawing board and writing it down. Just, so you have reference. Um I'll move on. So the next comment says people like to do the bare minimum and researching is not a part of it. But then again, that speaks of their business goals somewhat as well.
I guess. Um, I think we live in a day and age where information comes fast and quick. And typically the thing that attracts us the quickest, we believe, which is why a lot of times lies and false information can always make it to our ears and we regurgitate it as this fact because it was presented in such a way that you believe it. And if it isn't appealing enough to people, then it's definitely gonna have its challenges. And for us, because that's part of our drawing board, how do we make the messages that these people are already delivering more appealing to this audience? Something that works in another market may not work in our market. How do we revamp that? How do we change that around? How do we get the engagement? And what I noticed that for us, we would drop a flyer out there, it would get little movement and things like that. But when we did lives and spoke on things, that's where we had a different engagement level in our area. So I'm like, all right, man. So how do we maximize that? Which means I guess I'm gonna have to go back to doing skits and stuff to chase this dream, but it is what it is.
So I think showing the folks who and why are going to draw people in, that can be a great selling point. I mean, agreed.
Another comment from DJ Bush off the chat.
Okay.
No, so I'm learning to be better with podcasting. The reason why I'm giving the name out is because if people are listening, you just said just a random,
Yeah, I just said a random comment. Yeah.
yeah, and it's just like, well, so if I say here's another comment from the chat, da 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 da, it gives it more context. I'm just trying to be better in this podcasting thing,
Okay.
trying to help us out, boss. See, I'm trying to learn, and you look at me staring. So those were some of the challenges with trying to pull off this event real quickly. Like I said, plus, we got our personal stuff that's going on. Like I said, we got a senior in high school, and we knew that was going to be costly, but we didn't know it was going to be that costly. So when you started adding up stuff and all the last minute stuff, you know how kids do. They don't tell you nothing in a timely manner. They're like, ooh, I need $2,000 by tomorrow. I'm like, wait a minute, what? How did that happen? School board said that for me to graduate, I got to buy half of the football field. It's just some stupid crap that comes out. Like, I don't know. It's just weird. So it's just one of those things where we realize, hey man, take a step back, plan it better, make sure we get the right content, the right information out there, but not shoot ourselves in the foot so that we can continue to do this. Because if we would have stayed on the path we were going, uh, who knows? We might have put ourselves so much in a hole that we couldn't have dug ourselves out. So,
All right, so you were able to speak on some of the things with Bossfest. Do you feel like with this particular experience, you were able to go to the drawing board and be able to now come back and do this thing better?
I'm still at the drawing board. So I have some better ideas of how we can approach certain things, but it's still going to be a learning process. I'm not even sure the things that we saying we're trying to move forward with is even going to work. I would definitely say that I'm trying to make sure that we get more things solidified with definitive action plans, and everybody knows exactly what we need up front and what we're looking for up front, from venues, from speakers to support, to everybody. Like, hey, this is what we're looking for. This is what we need. Can you do this? So that way we don't spend too much time just spinning our wheels in places. Um, a lot of people reached out to want to support and help, and sometimes you don't know how to direct that support. So I'm trying to learn to be better with that. If I can manage a warehouse team full of people, then I just need to take those practices and do it here in my own business.
Who reached out for support and help?
Like, a lot of people have said, "Hey, I want to be a part of Boss Fest and provide different things and services." So,
Okay, okay. I was taking that some other type of way.
right,
So I said, if somebody reached out to me, they got a job.
I know for me, I'm like, man, how do I properly use you or utilize your talents or your skill set? Because I want to use people the correct way. I want people to use me the correct way. I expect to be used, and that's okay. But use me the correct way. Don't overuse me. Don't manipulate stuff to try to get your thing across. Just use me the right way. Hey, I know that you provide this type of a skill set and a talent. Is it okay if I use you this way, and make sure everybody's agreeing upon it? Sometimes, the agreements aren't solidified, and you find yourself when you're getting closer to stuff like, oh man, I thought you was gonna do this for me, or do that for me. And they like, no, that ain't what I thought I was doing. I thought I was only gonna give you this. So it's those things. So trying to be better.
Which I mean, I feel like that's good, and I definitely do see the growth that you have within that. So as far as Boss Fest goes, there's more to come. But it seems like you're okay with the other business, like the failure in that. So does this hit different than failure in any other business?
No, but I'm tired of being on me. Let's get on you.
Well, you ain't asked me nothing.
I'm asking you to
So
put yourself out there. I
okay,
always gotta
let
ask you.
me let me read this comment. This says, I know from personal experience with jokes and jams that a great idea can flourish well and fail just as fast. Going back to the drawing board can hurt your pride, but it can protect your brand. 100% true. 100%. And I thought jokes and jams was great.
I love jokes and jams. I love the concept of it. It was something within Polk County that gave us an alternative to traveling to Orlando or Tampa, and the comedians he was bringing to the stage was awesome. But just like anything, you always got to rebrand, refocus, figure out how can you save money here, cut costs here, or build a stronger engagement so that people say, all right, this is the room I want to be in. So, and that is something I can say I seen from the outside looking in. So I cannot wait for what the comeback looks like. So I'm excited to see what DJ Bush does with jokes and jams.
For sure. So I guess as we prepare to like wrap this thing up, what do you want to leave the people with?
I want to leave the people with, I think I'm gonna stop using this podcast as my therapy session, because boy, if I'm talking about stuff to try to make it better within me and business and stuff like that, the topic just stays on me. We don't ever get to deal with other stuff. And it'd be like, man, I'm gonna go at you. But seriously though, um, Embracing failures better. I know that failures have the potential to either derail your success or elevate your growth. And for a lot of times, we allow for that one failure to keep us stuck in place. It's almost like, to me, it's almost like when you burn your hand on the stove, like you cooking and you burn your hand on your stove, and you ain't gonna stop cooking. But in business and certain things, we tell ourselves, I'm not gonna do that no more. So I gotta look at it like, man, it's like that concept, man. Even though I burnt my hand on the stove, I need to realize, all right, how do I keep my hand up higher? How do I move the pot differently? How do I not burn myself? And I'm probably still gonna burn myself again, but maybe I won't burn myself as bad, or I'll instinctively know how to deal with the situation if it happens again. So that's my take on it. What about you?
I just want to say, I guess, keep your eyes out on Boss Fest. We definitely appreciate all the support that we've gotten. I believe that this was, it was destined to do this for us to take a look, to take a step back, look, and just make this whole thing better. I appreciate the people that are seeing the brand and believe in what it could be. So, I'm excited for what's to come. That's what I got for y'all.
All right, y'all. So Boss Fest is postponed April 7th. I will tell you, or what my wife told you, is that we felt deflated at first, but a lot of the pieces are still in place. We are going back at the drawing board. So before we start announcing names and dropping everything down again, just know that we done locked in the majority of the talent still, and there's potential more people that want to hit the stage and be a part of it. So it's gonna be some shifting stuff around in that dynamic too. Some trying to we hey, they ain't gonna be bigger. Um, yep, definitely. I know we talked about venue and location. So if you hadn't heard, if you haven't seen, we looking at going to the Tampa market with it this year. Um, for October.
Y'all tag y'all favorite venues in the
So
chat for sure.
so right now we are venue shopping, trying to figure out the thing that's going to give us the best aesthetic look that we want for our event, and we're gonna make this thing big. I'll tell you that the people in Tampa that we've linked up with and interacted with is loving the idea, loving Boss Fest. Uh, they're creating energy for us, helping us make this thing a little bit more streamlined, and we finna ride this wave for real. Polk County, we know y'all gonna ride with us. So, but we got to make sure that not only do we make this thing great, we start to make it profitable as well. So look out for the changes, look out for the things. Um, if you already got your ticket, keep it. I'm not telling you that the price is gonna go up or go down, but
Well,
keep
the
your
price
ticket.
ain't gonna go down. That's crazy.
Well, we're going to Tampa, so technically the price can't go down. But if you already locked in your ticket, like you locked it in. If you like them people that go last minute, hey, it's gonna be a last minute price. You're gonna see the change in the website, the feel and function, everything. So we got a lot of things in place that's gonna make this thing a lot better experience, and we can't wait to present it to the people. So be on the lookout for those things. That's all I got. I've been juggling back between Instagram and StreamYard, so just to make sure.
Oh. No, I already told you what I got. So stay tuned, y'all. The best is yet to come. We appreciate all the support. We appreciate y'all.
Appreciate it. Till next time. Be easy.